Well, I just realized my mic wasn't even on. So how about I restart that whole thing? Okay. How about I restart that? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Glenn Lawrence, and I'm back with another one. Um, so today, Jubilee released a video, male feminist versus anti-male feminist. And or no, that was last week's male feminist versus anti-male feminist. Today's versus female feminists versus anti-female feminists. So it's gonna be an interesting one. Afi, if you're watching, don't worry, I'll be there to pick you up soon, and then we'll go to the studio so we could do that podcast. All right. Without further ado, let's get right into this. I want to make some comments. I'm not gonna watch the whole 54 minutes of this. I'm gonna go quickly through it and give you my points of view, my talking points sometimes, and yeah, let's go through it. Come on. You got sound now, Travis?
Negatively impact everyone. And pause on that thought. And the disagreeers step forward.
Let's see. Hold on.
Don't represent what I think all of us here feel is the true ideal of what feminism is.
Absolutely. And I don't think that everyone has to be active as a feminist in the exact same way. Like, not everybody can march.
Travis,
Not
let me know if you got sound.
everybody can protest. Not everybody can really be an advocate for feminism.
At the end of the day, it's taking a look at patriarchal systems and seeing the flaws in those systems and how they negatively impact everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And pause on that thought. And the disagreeers step forward.
Define woman.
Ooh, she comes in hot. She comes in real hot. Define woman.
Who their internal idea of what they are is a woman.
Terrible definition. Coming from a lesbian, that destroys the very concept of our sexual orientation. Just saying that it's an idea. Why?
Why?
Because you can't be connected and sexually attracted to somebody's brain.
Let's make sure to keep it to the prompt. If you're a woman, you should be a feminist. Why do y'all disagree with that?
I completely disagree. You know, exactly 2 years ago, if you had
my bad.
done this, I probably would be a feminist. But then I started to look at, and I think the agree has actually mentioned is like, what do Black women gain from feminism? Because I remember even during Black Lives Matter when I led two protests for Black women, and I counted how many white women I saw there, and the ones who were there who were just there to take pictures for social media, and then the Black men also hiding.
Yeah, I find it really funny. Like, she comes out the gate like, define a woman. And I think it's true because, like, for literally the last year, maybe a little more than that, we can't define women. Women can't even define women. You know, when you ask a woman what a woman is, they start giving you all these, like, you know, virtue signaling things. She's strong, independent. She's brave. You know, she's majestic. You know, it's like, why can't her definition just be she's a male or she's a female human that gives birth. Like, that is literally the definition of a woman. So I like how the lesbian chick came out the gate just on fire. And the black chick, she's right. Like, let's be honest, people, feminism has never been about equal, equality or race. They have not been racially inclusive. I mean, you know, it was a black woman that started Me Too, but she didn't get the credit that she deserved until there was enough uproar and outcry for her to actually get it. It was what, Alyssa Milano that came out there, started like trying to make Me Too popular. Like, it wasn't white women that did it, black women did, but they didn't get the credit that they deserve. Like, so, it is what it is. It's sad.
Behind us. Everyone, the whole world hides behind black women. Enough.
Same thing that's happening. Look what's happening in Iran. People on the feminist side right now are not speaking up for those Iranian women. I have a friend that is trans woman living in Iran right now. It's miserable. Nobody stands up for that poor girl.
As a woman, I particularly think I'm a humanist. For example, 2 years ago, I was a raging feminist, and I made a decision to pivot my platform, teach Black women how to sit in our feminine energy because we've never experienced that.
Well, that just sounds like Black feminism to me, teaching women how to do that in the time that we are in now.
But we're not learning fast enough. We deserve to rest. We deserve to relax. We deserve to choose. We want to be a traditional wife. I went from law to being a CEO to now I just want to be a housewife. And every time I say that, I get so much hate. Like, women work so hard to get to this point. Why do you want to be a housewife? Because that's what you want. That's what you want. That's the point. Feminism is all about choice. Exactly. Why can't I choose? That's the whole point of feminism. It's like, why can't I choose? What are you missing in America to claim that you are oppressed as a woman?
Facts. What are they oppressed by? What laws do women not have that men have? What privileges do women not have that men have? Okay, like, if anything, the tables have turned a little bit here. There is a level of inequality that women benefit from that they're not protesting for equality on. Women are not protesting to be, equally sentenced for the same crime across the board. They're not equally asking to be punished that way. They're not equally asking to have to pay alimony and child support like men tend to do. They're not asking for that equality. They're not asking, to equally have the responsibilities and be charged, for crimes that, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Women benefit from the inequalities in America, but they're not protesting against those ones. No, feminists are not talking about that shit. They like to keep that shit quiet.
Well, we just had our rights to our own uteruses.
First of all, abortion was never a right, people. Look up the Constitution. Look up the amendments. There's never a right to abort. Never was written down there. All right? The Roe versus Wade was an unconstitutional law. All right? Then all they did was send it back to the states. So the state that you live in gets to vote and decide whether or not they want to have abortions in that state and what type of abortions and what's the criteria for abortions. Nowhere is it banning abortions. You, the people of that state, get to vote, and then that is what the votes, what you guys vote on is what you guys determine for your state. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's called empowering the people.
You have the right to murder your own baby, though. I mean,
It's not a baby, it's a clump of cells.
I mean, we all are clump of cells right here.
I think everybody's going to agree and disagree.
Yeah,
on
that's
that,
a whole
but I don't know if that's another topic. That's another topic.
I had a very, very hard time not stepping up to that prompt because my whole life I did consider myself a feminist. Seeing how this modern wave of feminism has now turned into something very different than equal rights. We all want equal, of course, we want equal rights. We want equality as women, of course.
But how can you have equal rights when you can't define the word woman on the far left?
True.
Malta had a Women's Day recently, and the Women's Day was celebrated by 2 trans women who still had their male parts.
See, This is how far the left has gone. Like it's got when it's National Women's Day, you're celebrating a Women's Day, and the women that you or the people that you place there to be women are men. Like how ass backwards is that? Just because they're playing dress up and make believe does not mean they should be awarded to be women or acknowledged as women.
I mean, you're pushing women out of womanhood.
I'm sure we're going to have discussions about whether or not a trans woman is a woman, but I actually want to go back to how we feel that our ideal of feminism is probably not the way that you four think of feminism. I'm willing to
And
bet.
I agree with that. I think that's why people like me stepped away from that. Not because we're not women empowered or believe in women
It's
empowerment.
because we are women empowered.
It's because we believe women empowerment means something different than what you guys believe in.
And what I've seen now.
Pause
too-
there.
oh,
We're gonna reset. Next
Oh.
prompt. There's no wrong reason to get an abortion.
Okay. If you are making a health decision between you and a medical professional that is the right decision for you, your body, your future, it is always the right decision.
I would never stand between anyone with a uterus from making a decision about their body.
No, yeah, they're like, you can do it. You can have this you can have this health care if you are a victim of incest or a victim of rape. It's like you should be able to have access to that. What if you want it? You know, it's the same as going into the doctor and getting a routine check. If there's something for your body that you think will, you know, not just benefit you, but help you live and also help you sustain an actual good life for your child, then that's what you need to do.
And
yeah.
You see the way that they talk about abortion as if the baby does not even exist, like it's not even a living thing, like it's not doesn't have a heartbeat. It's crazy.
Financial is a huge thing too.
It is a
It's,
huge
it's an extremely huge financial responsibility to have a kid. And
Okay, yeah. Then if it since it is such a huge financial responsibility to have a kid, then why don't you get on birth control? You know, why don't you get on, practice safe sex or practice, abstinence? Ladies, just because you guys had this sexual liberation and, freedom movement, doesn't mean you got to run around and be hoes. Doesn't mean you got to like get on every dick you see. I mean, no, you don't have to. And plus, really, who's banging the green haired chick? Does anybody really think that the greenhouse chick getting some dick? I mean, no.
some people just don't have that means.
I agree and disagree. I'm definitely pro-choice. I'm probably the only anti-feminist that's pro-choice.
Being pro-choice, pro-abortion is actually very common. It's like 78% of Americans.
Okay, so yeah.
There's actually many people who are
Okay.
in your
Yeah,
category.
to me, it makes sense in certain circumstances. I don't think people should be using abortion as a form of birth control.
Agree.
I think to me, abortion's, believe it or not even the issue we need to be talking about right now. I feel like we need to be talking about how to properly educate people, no matter what their status is, no matter what their sexual orientation, whatever. And we need to go from there.
Well, I think I have a very interesting perspective on this because my mother opened the first Planned Parenthood in our state, and she is very pro-abortion outwardly, but inwardly in our home, we weren't allowed to do it. And so growing up at that dichotomy really, I think, messed me
Interesting.
up a lot because I was like, okay, which one is the truth?
There are wrong reasons to get an abortion. A wrong reason to get an abortion is if you are going through your pregnancy and all of a sudden you change your mind. If you are irresponsible and all of a sudden finding yourself scared of motherhood.
When people say that women are getting abortions because they just don't want to be pregnant anymore, they're not actually understanding the way that an abortion works. Most of the time they're talking about late term abortions. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you have that kind of abortion, you have to give birth to the fetus. There's no going back. You're literally giving birth to a body.
Oh, you hear that right there. You're giving birth to a body. So all these feminists that say like the baby is not a baby, it's just a fetus, it's just a clump of cells. You heard she said a body. So there's a body in there. So it's not just a clump of cells. You know, like this is ridiculous.
It's never just a whoop, I don't feel like being pregnant anymore. Guess these last 8 months I just wasted everything. No. No one's
Travis, that's funny. Yeah, dude, I have no idea. No idea. You know,
Raising children is the
I know,
most
Travis.
blessed
It's
gift.
either X
And
X or
I
XY.
am I speak as someone who, when I found out that I was expecting for the first time, I kid you not, I was terrified.
But you were prepared.
No. I was not necessarily prepared. I was not prepared. And I was very much caught off guard. And I was terrified because I had an incredible career happening for me on the upswing.
Finances.
Let me finish. I had such a dramatic, fearful reaction to becoming a mother because of what our society has been telling me for throughout my adolescence and my early 20s, is that once you become a mother, it's all over and it ends. And that is a very, very deeply rooted problem in our society that I do think we need to address.
That's true. Like, you know, why is motherhood not like praised anymore by women? It's almost like, oh, if you choose to be a stay-at-home mom or if you choose to be a mom, it's like you are like less than. Like you're like, oh, you're one of those women. It's like, man, like women, like the beauty of women are the things that they give birth. There's something so beautiful about them that they could give birth that men can't do. I'll tell you right now, if men had to give birth, we wouldn't have a population. We'd have a population of one. Got the first man, Adam would have tried it one time. One time he would have been like, oh hell no, never again. And he would have told his son, don't you ever give birth. Like, you know, like, and then there would be no population, people. You know, so yeah, like women need to embrace that. So I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. Get to the next prompt.
Feminist movement is inherently racist.
Yes, it is.
The feminist movement does not benefit POC in any shape or form. It
POCs, I mean Tupac. I know, people of color.
especially does not benefit Black women. And the darker your skin is, the more you are used. I call us Black women as the bullets for the feminist movement.
I mean, that's pretty much true. I mean, like I said, Me Too was started by a Black woman in New York, I believe, and it wasn't popular until Alyssa Milano started saying it. So there's a lot of truth there.
If we're talking historically, if we're talking how feminist movements started, it was an exclusionary movement. If we go back to the suffragettes or even further, Black women were not allowed to join in that effort because they really weren't fighting for Black women.
Until we were used as bullets.
Right.
If we're not being used, we can't be part of the movement.
they did use Black women. They used Black women's efforts because most of the most achievements of feminism, you're right, like most of the achievements of feminism have been done by Black women, and white women have stepped in and taken the credit for like people who do identify as feminists, especially those of us who are white. I think the most important thing for us to do is to sit down, shut up, and listen to Black women.
Used as bullets. Right. If we're not being used.
As a Black woman who identifies as a feminist, my work centers Black women. So to say that, you know, of course, like white women were able to vote before Black women, like the feminist movement was inherently racist, but how I live my life and the way that the community that I've built around myself of Black feminists,
But why label it feminism?
Well,
Why not just
you can
why
label
not
it
just
whatever you
label it
want, but
Black, helping other Black women.
I affirm you, and I
Don't
see
you
that the
think that's like-
semantics makes you uncomfortable because feminism was racist, but
It is still racist.
but you're
was.
not
Yep.
racist. So if you are not racist and you have issues that you want to be working towards for Black women, that doesn't mean that you're inherently being racist or helping white women. I think feminism exists on a spectrum.
We're talking about semantics. We're talking about terms. They evolve and they change. Ideology.
No. Terms don't change. Okay. People like to change terms. They want to redefine shit. Like we're redefining what a woman is. We're redefining what masculinity is. We're, like people, the terms don't change. It's dumb people like you that choose to change them to suit your argument. Let's get that straight. Okay? Come on now. All right, we're gonna speed this up because I gotta get going.
Well,
Just
but
saying.
that's the thing, right?
Right.
Like,
It
if you
just-
don't
that
have the
doesn't make
money
sense
to
to me.
drive to get an abortion, how are you going to have the money to raise that child? What?
If you don't have the money to drive to get an abortion, shouldn't you practice safe sex even more? Like, if just because you don't have the means to do something, that should like only motivate you to be a little bit more diligent and a little bit more, cautious and engaging in things that you don't have the means to get yourself out of. That makes sense. Like, if if you only make so much money, if you only make like $1,000 a month, you buying a car with a car payment of $900 a month doesn't make sense. It's not a good risk because that $100 you got to pay for rent and everything else with for your $100. So you wouldn't put yourself in a risky situation to where you're not going to have the means to provide for yourself. So if that means you can't buy that car, then you don't buy that car. If that means you got to be more cautious and get a car that suits your needs, and then that's what you do. But you don't go just because you're not in that financial situation to where you can afford to do certain things doesn't mean you get to just do whatever you want and then say, well, I can't take care of the responsibilities of it, so why should I have to do it? That's stupid.
Pause
Why
there.
should you be
Let's
forced into
reset.
motherhood?
Feminists don't appreciate all that men do for society.
Facts. Of course, like that
That's
whole
all I want to
feminist
say
group
about
won't
this.
say anything.
Feminists just demonize men. They hate men. All men are trash. They say they hate men while simultaneously trying to become men. They hate them for having power and the patriarchy, so they're trying to overtake it. But a lot of women will talk about rape culture. But guess what? Guess who's going to protect you from bad people? A man. Women are nurturers. We need men.
It's as simple as that. It's a God-given right for men to exist the way they were assigned to exist. We need men. It's very simple. We need men to procreate. We need men to provide. We need men to produce. We need men to go to war and die. We need men.
Yeah,
It's so
like I get that last part, but we don't like necessarily dying. But she's right. She's right. Look, everything that we have in this country today, everything that you see, everything that we use today has been designed, built, created, maintained by a man. This whole I don't need a man shit, just get it out of your head. It doesn't make no sense. Ladies, I don't see a bunch of women trash men or garbage people. I don't see no women driving no garbage truck picking up no trash. I don't never met a woman plumber in my life that wants to go in the sewage and clean out the plumbing. All right. I don't see that. We don't see that. This whole like narrative, like you don't need a man. I'm sorry, ladies, but you will always need men. Whether you like to admit it or not, men will always be needed. You will always need them. And you will always live under some form of male structure of authority. Simple as that.
Right now that men they're so scared of us, they're terrified all the time. I go on dates with men, they're like, am I allowed to open the door? Can I not open the door? Can I touch it? Can I pull the chair out? What can I do? And they're shaking, they're sweating, and you're just like, be yourself. Just it's okay. You like they're so afraid of doing anything wrong. So much so they're now the most lonely demographic in the world, right? Like they straight white men, I heard are now the most lonely because they just created incels, they don't want to leave their apartment or their house because they're so afraid of women.
I'm not on board with this trend, especially happening in schools right now. There is a trend where they are raising up the girls. Girl power, girl boss, girl this, run like a girl in the best way
You're gonna make me
possible.
vomit.
That's it's dangerous. It is dangerous because yes, we want to uplift our women. That's the right thing to do so that men and women do maintain equality. But at the same time, by raising the girls, we are forgetting about our boys.
Yeah, they want to solve inequality by enforcing more inequality. And if women were equal to men, then why do the girls need to be raised up so much? Why? The only men that feminists like are men
Smart.
dressing as women and dominating their sports and just really reversing what the other waves of feminism fought
What
to
for?
do. Have fun with men beating you in your sports, women, because guess what? You're not going to beat them. Have fun. I never even felt unequal. So I don't even know what the problem is. I feel like a lot of people just want to have a reason to be upset and outraged. I also just don't identify with all these identity politics groups. I think they're being pit against each other, separating all these different people by race, class, gender, everything, sexual orientation, and I look at people as individuals.
All right, on that note, let's have the disagreeers step forward.
There's a difference between not appreciating men and pointing out the inequities that have been systemically put in place to favor men, especially white men, white straight men.
Green hair monster. Let me ask you this: how many inequities do you guys benefit from? Because there's a lot. Again, you want to talk about the inequities that you say that you don't benefit from, but you're not talking about the inequities that you do benefit from. So if we're going to talk about inequities, then you should be marching for all the inequities across the board, but you're not. So that's why your movement is just trash.
There's a difference between hating men and pointing out that there are inequities.
I want to talk about this concept of
You know what? There's inequities between somebody that is 6 foot tall and someone that's 6'7". All right, I'm 6 foot tall. When I used to play basketball, I could barely touch the rim. I have friends that are 6'7" that just dunk on the rim, no problem. I have to do layups, they get to do dunks. That's an inequity. Should I be mad at them for being taller than me? Should they have to like what lower? I don't know. Should I be treated special because they're taller than me? That sounds stupid.
protection. We're talking about good men who are protectors. Who are they protecting us from?
The bad men.
Bad men, exactly.
Or
And
bad
so-
women, bad
right.
anybody.
I could
Could
drive
be
a car
anybody.
and
It was a rhetorical. I guess
No,
it's
I
a
understand the point you were
rhetorical
trying to make. That's
question,
why I
right?
said
But
what you
I'm
wanted
going
me
to
to say.
finish. So then who benefits from men's bad behavior?
Good men as well.
How?
Right? They get to be positioned as the good guys.
Good apples.
They're the good apples. And that is predicated on the bad behavior.
Wait a minute. So now it's so if you do something nice or good for a woman, you're now you only are that way because you benefit from the actions of bad people. So nobody should be good. Because fuck it, you don't want to be known as like someone benefiting from bad behavior, right? Like fuck this. Oh my god, the shit that comes out of these broads' mouth.
Fear of men.
No, they benefit from being a good person and protecting women. Who cares? We should not be praising people based off comparing them to bad people.
But I don't benefit from being a good girl. I don't get
you're a good feminist, right? I'm sure people.
Actually, women do benefit from being a good girl. You know, they actually get married. They get to have a happy family. They get to have a husband that loves them and protects them and provides for them. You know, they get to live a very comfortable life in most cases if they have the financial means to. You know, there's a lot of benefits for being a good girl. There's really no benefits for being a bad girl. I mean, what, you're labeled as a hoe, you get dick ran through you, you know, you catch a disease, you could, you know, have like 20 kids because you're not practicing protected sex, and you become dependent upon welfare, and now the people that pay taxes have to pay for your living. Yeah, that's not a good girl. There's nothing good there. There's no benefit.
People love what you have to say as a feminist. Other feminists agree with it and are like, yes, go girl
There are
boss. They
good
do.
people on earth and bad people on earth. We're always going to have that. That would never change. It's in every animal kingdom. So we need the good man to protect us from the bad man.
To go off of what you said, because you said when women are sexually assaulted, they turn to another man to protect them. I work as a sexual assault and domestic violence counselor. I work.
Dummy, she's talking about if it was happening in the street, you're not going to, you know, you're going to run and get help from somebody that's there. And if there's a man there, and he sees that you are in need of help, you're not going to run to him and ask him for help? Of course you would.
Work with rape victims every single day. They don't turn to men to protect them.
Okay.
They don't.
Sure.
I
You
didn't
said.
say turn to them. I was saying
No,
like
that
they potentially can, if you're walking home alone at night and
I
you're
don't turn
afraid.
to another man.
Well,
I
you
don't. I
shouldn't.
turn to other women.
Yeah, I appreciate men that like
Oh,
I
God.
love a man that knows his place. Build a
Knows his place. What's his place, AJ? What's his place?
build the house. Yeah, yeah. Repair that.
Mhm.
Because I'm a goddess. Like if you
You're a what? A what? Did she just say what I think she said?
you need to hold your weight in the relationship. Like
And what is your weight in the relationship, ladies? What is the weight that you need to hold in a relationship? Are you going to be keeping the house? Are you going to be, raising the kids? Are you going to be, available sexually for him? Are you going to be that loving wife? Are you going to be submissive? Are you going to be respectful? Like, are you going to be those things? Because, like, I agree, a man should provide those things to a woman that is willing to provide the things that she needs to provide to him.
I appreciate men. I love men. Like, just like you said, you have a husband, you want to cook for your husband, you make sure that he's good. Men have roles in society as well. Feminist is anything you want it to be. As a woman, I am promiscuous because I'm a feminist, but you can also be conservative because I'm a feminist. Modern day feminism is about you and what you make it and not what someone 60 years ago said it was.
So basically, feminism
But I
is
don't
subjective.
praise men because they aren't raping. Like,
I agree with everything you just said.
You're agreeing with us.
I agree with you
the
fully.
same exact thing. Like,
yeah,
that's
but I
actually the
disagree with the
movement.
prompt because I do appreciate men. I don't think that feminists don't appreciate men. I think that's not true.
Like, but
When you have feminists that come out and say kill all men, that men need to have a curfew at 6 p.m. That is treating men badly.
person who taught me to be the feminist that I am was my father. My father did not raise me to believe that I was less than because I was a woman. He raised me to understand that I am societally disadvantaged, but he told me that I was going to rise above that.
In my house with my father, my mom was so strong that my dad became so emasculated that he cannot do anything. He stopped working. He became just like a couch potato, right? Why she just went out there and kill it. And we are destroying family, as we know, because look at me. I'm in my 30s. I'm not settled down. I don't have children. I don't have this family unit that I want so terribly, because no matter how hard I try, that feminism that I was raised with always tend to overshadow my relationships.
Yes, because you know why? The feminist, I think, goal, it's not even, there's a quote by, I forgot her name, something Millett. She basically just says, like, the utopian goal of feminism is to destroy the nuclear family, to destroy traditional marriage and the nuclear family. So when that's the goal, yeah, of course you're going to see that being the issue and plaguing, why marriages and families are broken up. You want to know why there's so many single family homes in America? I think America has the most single family homes, period. And that's because feminism, in my opinion. Now, does that mean that men haven't contributed to that? Absolutely, men have contributed to that. But feminism plays such a huge role in why there's so many broken homes, why so many kids are growing up under single family homes. It's sickening. It's sickening.
I know best, right? Like, I know what's right. I know because I saw it growing up. I saw it modeled to me growing up. Like, a woman knows everything. We're so powerful.
But the
We're so
idea
strong.
that men are supposed to be the head of the household, do you understand?
That's biblical. Sorry. Talk to God about it.
That is killing men.
That's killing men.
It is killing men.
One of them died because they need to go back to working.
The pressure of it, you mean, right? The
The
pressure.
pressure of it is destroying their mental health.
No, it's not the pressure of it. It's the way that women behave with it. Okay, let's get a few things straight here. All right. There's been a lot of abusing of the divorce laws and the family laws and the court system and false accusations. And I'm going to have a whole nother podcast on false accusations here soon. But there's a whole lot of that going on to where men, I think she's going to mention it here in a minute. Hold on.
That's why men are 6 times more likely to commit suicide.
No, the reason why men are 6 times more likely to commit suicide is typically after divorce. And it's 3.5 to 5% of the time men have a higher chance of committing divorce after or committing suicide after divorce. Why? Because of what they go through in divorce court. Okay, they get stripped of their family, they get stripped of their kids, they lose their resources, lose their home, they lose their identity. Okay, and when they're done, when the court system gets through with them, they're a shell of a man, and they feel like it's better to just end it all because they can't rebuild. They don't feel like they have the time or the means to be able to rebuild. That's why. It's because women abuse the court system. Now, there's been plenty of justified divorces that women have gone through because men have cheated, abused them, whatever the case is. Not talking about those. We're talking about the ones that game the system and benefit them. And we live in a society that tells women, that encourages women to get divorces, to not make the relationships work. They encourage them to, if you're not happy, you could just divorce him and move on. Well, happiness is fleeting. Happiness is a feeling. If you are basing everything on happiness, then you're never going to be satisfied. Never going to be satisfied.
Than women are, especially men in committed relationships. Men in their 40s that are married with families are the highest risk for suicide. But it's
because their wives leave them and take the kids and leave them with nothing. Shit. They have all these bills and have to pay for her now and alimony and child support, and they still got to pay for themselves. Like, come on.
Killing men because, but it's killing men because we have generations and generations of boys who were not raised to be men and
That's
rise
true
to
too.
that occasion.
It's killing men because we're not in a position capitalistically where we can have men be the one single head of the household, the bread earner, the decision maker. We are no longer.
No, it's killing men because nobody is practicing marriage in the way that it was designed. The church has failed people on this too. The modern church has literally dropped the ball when it comes to encouraging and enforcing and teaching marriage the way that it's supposed to be.
Longer in the 1950s. Our economy is not able to handle that kind of nuclear family. Absolutely. With the man being the head of the household, the stay-at-home moms, and the 2.5 children.
It does. See, that's the other thing. People think that, oh well, just because the economy and the way the cost of living and everything is, that's the reason why we can't, have that traditional nuclear family. The roles don't change though. The structure and hierarchy still doesn't change. If husbands are supposed to be, according to the Bible, the head of the household, it didn't say husbands are the head of the household only if the husbands are working and the wives get to stay at home. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that. It just says husbands are the head of the household. There was no conditions to why he's the head of the household. There's no conditions to that. So regardless whether a wife has to work or not, the structure is still there.
I want to clarify, I'm not a stay-at-home mom.
No,
I do work, and so I
understand.
do have perspective. When you are in a long-term marriage
All right, moving on.
or relationship with a partner of anyone, yes, you're going to have that off.
Body. I'm gonna add a.
Only women should make laws about women's bodies.
I'm gonna add a minor caveat to this and not say that like entirely just women should make laws about women's bodies. And I think it's more important that people who are educated on the female body are the people who are allowed to make laws about the female body. Like
we shouldn't have lawmakers making laws stating, oh, abortion is completely.
Well, you know, Travis, you know, like to answer your question, Travis, like, yes, majority of Western cultures are the ones that are countries are dealing with feminists, but we're starting to see it grow in other areas across the world too. So they're starting to show signs of this as well.
Illegal, even if it's an ectopic pregnancy, you can reinsert that fetus. No, you're killing people if you make that kind of stupid law.
It doesn't mean that any of our male lawmakers can't be involved.
And frankly, I think they
At
need to be a
all.
little bit more involved. Some of them
Thank
are
you.
slacking.
Yes.
They are letting me down. Yeah, and you know,
Absolutely.
So wait a minute. You want men to make decisions? This is confusing. You guys say that you don't want men. Men have no right to decide or make votes or have on women's bodies and reproductive this and that. But now you're saying there's not enough men involved. Are you saying like there's not enough men involved in your agenda, in the push that you're trying to make? You want more men to stand up alongside you and fight for your agenda when it comes to women's bodies? Or because like there's plenty of men, there's enough men and women out there that are opposing you, and it seems like you only seem to be mad at the men that oppose you. So you just want more male allies. Let's just be a little bit more specific.
I think there are a lot of men who hold a lot of power who are on our side who are not doing enough.
Yeah, again, so she's just mad at the men that are not on her
I
side.
want to say it's funny because I think you all spoke for us, because I think you all agree that everyone should be involved in making these laws. We need men. You see how simple that was?
And men can be women these days.
Men can't be women if they actively identify as men. That's
No, men can't be women, period, because men have a penis, okay, and women have vaginas. And no matter what you do down there, no matter what kind of little plastic surgery, Lorena Bobbitt, session you have down there, your chromosomes, your DNA is male. If you're a man, simple as that. Look, this whole make-believe bullshit that people are pushing. Look, you want to play dress up at home, play dress up at home. Okay, you want to play dress up with your friends, do that with your friends. But when you come to the real world and you have to interact with the real world every single day, regardless of what you feel you are, the reality is you are a man dressed in a woman's clothing. I don't care what you can't play make believe at work. Okay, when you go to work, it's time to do adult shit and time to be an adult. And as an adult, you have to be responsible and live in reality. And reality is not make believe. So if you want to live in make believe, you go at home and you play that shit there.
not a thing.
I currently identify as a man.
Okay, then you're a man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you agree that these laws that are specific about our bodies, shouldn't the originators of that bill talking about our bodies be women?
Answer that. Can y'all?
No, I don't think we should think about men versus women. I think we should have intelligent.
It's not about men versus women. Of course, men are going to be involved with creating laws and putting laws into place. But when we're talking about the language, when we're talking about verbiage for these laws, shouldn't a woman be multiple women, preferably, be?
No, it should probably be the most educated person in the room, the person that has the highest and most experience or most qualified. Should not be sex, shouldn't be involved. It shouldn't be determined whether you're a woman or a man. Like whoever is the most educated in this field, most expertise, should probably be the ones making the decisions.
Be involved.
Yeah, be at the forefront of what these laws look like for us.
I think it's less about a man versus a woman and more about the way society is now versus 50 years ago. People that you didn't even vote for, that are spending lifelong terms in Congress and such. That's in the Supreme Court. That's more of an issue to me than worrying about if a man or a woman wrote this law or bill.
There's checks and balances to our government,
checks
but
and
I wanted to
balances,
ask you, would you, I'm a woman, I'm 100% pro-life.
Oh, you're a woman now?
I identify
She's
right
gender
now.
fluid.
I'm switching back.
Okay.
No, very fluid by the hour.
Hey, but that's the way it is, right? You could one second identify as this, another second you can identify that. You can't be judging them with, like, if I did that, that would be some shit.
But would you be okay with, so I'm a woman, now for now, and I am very pro-life. You're okay with women like me making these laws because you disagree with the outcome there. I'm assuming you're pro-choice, right?
But the law is, if we're talking about Roe v. Wade, right?
Yeah,
The
let's-
law,
as an
the
example.
law is about. It's not about your ideal pro-life. It's about abortion. It's about bodily autonomy. If you don't want to get an abortion, fine. That's what it's all about. It's your choice.
I want to sort of reverse it and ask you the question: should there be laws about women's bodies where there was no women involved? Because there certainly are.
Like what?
Right, but we live in a system of government where there are states' rights, and I live in California, and guess what? I don't agree with anything our governor is doing. I don't agree
Neither do
with
I.
the majority that is in our state legislature, yet I live here and I choose to live here. And if I have a problem with the laws, then I have the opportunity to move to a different state.
So just
I'm almost
all the
on my
people
way
who
out of
don't have the
California.
opportunity to move to a different state.
Everyone
then.
has opportunity to work, to
They
make a
don't.
life for themselves here in America.
They
What
don't,
I
though.
love about America is that this is the only place on earth that you can work and achieve based on your merit.
I was raised by a single mom who
That
didn't
explains a lot.
have the support she needed to
All
really
right, moving
love-
on.
You surprised to see me here? No.
All right, this is gonna be my last one that I'm gonna take off, you guys. I gotta go meet up Afi Kingdom, and then we gotta go to the studio. Get ready for another podcast. It's gonna be dope.
Feminism that doesn't include trans women isn't feminism.
What? So feminism that's not including men make believing as
Surprised to see
women
me
is
here?
not feminism.
No.
Okay.
Okay, good.
You know, it's really important to include trans women and trans people and gender nonconforming people, which, by the way, I am gender queer myself. I don't actually identify as a woman. It's really important that those of us who do have privileges
This is confusing.
speak up for trans women in the community, especially because they're the most at risk for hate crimes.
I also want to just level set and say that we are having this conversation without trans women. Right? We are sitting here today having
we
that
know that?
conversation without
For
trans
sure.
women.
I identify as
She's
trans,
on a fem-
not-
hold on. She identifies as non-binary and she's on a she's on a feminist panel.
my
So
pronouns.
maybe she doesn't belong here either. They don't belong here.
Plot twist, I am biologically female and I'll never deny that. I lived as a woman for most of my life.
Then what happened? You probably went to college, you got bit by the feminist bug, and then your hair turned green, and you got fat, and then everything else happened. Yeah. Watch out, ladies. Don't go to school. If you do, stay away from people like that.
I am 31. I only came out a couple of years ago. I spent a lot of time, the majority of my life in these spaces with women. That does give me a kind of unique perspective now being a trans non-binary person.
There's an issue with categorizing womanhood as a means of female. Earlier, it was mentioned by somebody on the anti-trans side about trans women coming in and taking over sports and things like that, which is just not true.
That is true.
Leah Thomas, right? Didn't she like start smashing all the girls in, the water or swimming or some shit like that?
It's not.
It is.
It's
I can show
not.
you a number
I
of
can
cases.
show you a
there might be
number of
people that also
science-
haven't.
No, I can
Men
show
retain,
you a
sorry,
number.
trans women retain 30% of their biological
That
advantage
is not
if they
true.
went through.
That is very much true. I'm sorry. If you are transitioning and after you go through puberty, you maintain a good majority of your muscle mass, your lungs are bigger. I mean, there's a lot biologically you can't change. I mean, you may change the appearance, but that doesn't change much.
Male puberty, yes, it is.
That is
Yes,
n-
it is.
That is not.
Let's not
that
argue it.
fact,
That's not even the prompt. We're not going to argue about that.
because you're wrong.
If you are a trans woman and you walk out in the world and you are seen as a man, you do not belong in women's spaces. I don't care what anybody says. I think that's ridiculous, and I think even trans women that have gender dysphoria that go through transition will agree with me.
This makes me so incredibly uncomfortable that we're even having this conversation.
You could go back
about
over
that.
there if you really wanted to.
Damn, this girl's fired.
If
She's
we
just
took all of that off the table, right? If we're not talking about who can play sports with whom, can people exist as who they are?
Absolutely.
It
Who
sounded
they
like
are, okay.
You were saying
again as who they are, not who they make believe to be, not who they think they are, not who they want to be, but who they are. Well, who trans women are men in women's clothing. And that's fine. If that's you, do you. 100% do you. I'm not going to tell you can't do you. I'm not going to even tell you you're wrong for doing you. I think you're just a little off. All right. But if you're going to do you, realize that you're still just playing dress up. And you're going to be treated like you really are. If you're a man, you should be treated like you're a man. If you're a woman, you should be treated like you're a woman. That's it.
Saying if a trans woman doesn't look like what you perceive as looking like a woman, they
A woman has a vagina and can give birth. That's what I perceive a woman as.
shouldn't be in feminist spaces.
I didn't say that. I said they shouldn't be in female spaces,
Okay.
not feminist spaces.
Okay.
I think women,
I disagree with that, but
that's
okay.
fine. It makes sense to biologically classify people. It also makes sense to socially classify people. Let's say my friend Blair White was sitting right here. It's my buddy, love her. She's sitting right here. Do I think she lives her life as a man? No. Like we were talking about men making decisions for women as far as abortions are concerned. That's something she'll never experience. There are women who biologically cannot produce. There are females, people assigned female at birth, who biologically cannot produce. Are you saying that those female women should not be able to have say in those laws?
That's not. No, they were, yes, because someone just is unable to biologically produce doesn't make them not a woman. They were born with the capability of doing so, and for whatever health reasons they're unable to, doesn't make them less of a woman. They were still designed and born with the organs to do so.
What I'm saying at all. I guess my main issue with trans women being seen as women and not being seen as trans women is they're changing the definition of women and expecting everybody to go along with that. And that affects.
We don't even know what the definition of woman is anymore. Like, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I know what women is, but it seems like everybody else out there in this world doesn't know what real definition of woman is.
To me, yes, they are, and that affects me directly. You say trans women are women, trans women are trans women. It's a very different experience.
Trans women are women.
We're just going to agree to disagree with that. If you ask feminists at a women's march what a woman is, they can't even define it. How can you protect something and empower something that you don't even know the actual definition of?
True.
Well, I will say J.K. Rowling called herself a feminist and was canceled for not being pro-trans, and which is kind of overtaking and reversing some of the work feminists have done in the past.
She's a billionaire.
Well, they criticize
She's
her.
Fine.
They
She's
criticize
fine.
her.
She's
Billionaire.
fine.
Okay, so only if you're wealthy, it's okay for them to cancel you. But if you're not wealthy, you shouldn't be canceled. You're not considered a feminist or part of a group. So money is really the only thing.
Things are hurt. I'm so saddened for her. Feminist movement does not allow anyone to have any other opinions but what you guys
But what
think
does
is
that
correct.
mean, though? Because she's
So
allowed to have that opinion, and she still makes a bunch of money.
Yes, she does.
What do trans women take away from women in the feminist movement?
The definition of words and what that means and how that affects us directly.
Can you expand on that?
Yes, when you change the word woman legally, it has implications. Sexually, it has implications.
But the word woman
directly
has changed throughout histories, throughout different cultures.
No, it hasn't. The word woman has always meant a female human that is capable at birth. It was designed and created to give birth. That's really what it's been defined as. That's what it's always been. It hasn't been because people can masquerade as, pretend things.
Indigenous people have had different genders, different.
There's always been only two genders, people. There's always only been two. Okay.
Ways of looking at gender. The Torah specifically has 8 different genders, and we have recognized that for over 3,000 years. You're denying anybody's.
I gotta look into that. I'm going to look into whether the Torah has 8 different genders or whatever, because that's interesting.
Culture that does not agree with your perception and your worldview, because you hold so highly onto your identity and you see it as an attack on who
So
you
do
are.
all of on sexual orientation.
So do feminists as a
But
whole.
it's
though.
nothing to do with sexual.
It has exactly to do with sex. When you change the word woman and a lesbian is a woman that is attracted to women, how is that not directly affecting us?
What defines a woman is being born with biological women's parts
Thank you.
and That is what a woman is. And trans women are individuals who choose to live their lives as women. And I honor that. And everyone deserves dignity and respect.
Nobody's
and I mean
complaining about that.
But at the same time, there are universal truths. And
Yep.
we have, as a society, gotten to this confusing tangled place where there's your truth, your truth, your truth, your truth. There is one objective truth in what we are.
Can you
Thank
explain
you.
to me?
There is no truth other than the truth. There's your truth is not it's not true. It's your version of the truth. Your version of the truth doesn't make it true.
Women in Guatemala who are born female, who are assigned female at birth, and then during puberty grow penises?
I can't explain it because I don't know anything about
that. Sounds like an
that.
intersex condition.
You try to, I get it, but how feminists always try to tell us how we should live our life. I said I was a raging feminist. She goes, I don't believe that.
I don't see that.
I don't-
I mean, what you've been saying, I can't see any traces of feminism in
My
what you're
mother
saying.
Because she was smart enough to get rid of it.
is literally.
We
the
heard a lot about your
poster
mom, but
of
what about
feminism.
you?
I am a woman. Looking at me, I am a woman, born and raised a woman. Why are we trying to write women, born biological women? Why are you trying to write us out of history?
You guys keep saying that there's a biological reality of male and female. Scientists do not agree with you.
Scientists
that you
do
choose to
agree.
with. I mean, you can find a study and a scientist to back up anything you want to
Well,
prove these days.
I choose to do peer-reviewed studies and not ones that are backed by political.
But peer-reviewed studies only peer-reviewed by the people that support your agenda. Peer-reviewed.
Agenda, and I'm sorry that my peer-reviewed studies tend to agree with.
Because they align, you're only looking at peer-reviewed studies that align with your ideology.
The fact that trans women are women and that biology does not exist in a binary, never has, and it never will.
It always has and it always
I
will.
secretly
All right. Oh, this is actually a good one. Which is,
crave men's approval.
Yeah.
of course they do.
Men's approval has kept me safe in so many ways. Being desirable, being
But they don't need men. But she said men's approval kept them safe. But she earlier was talking trash about men, the good men that benefit from bad men. Interesting.
being fuckful has kept me safe many a time. And it's no secret. I guess that's where I disagree. It's no secret that sometimes men's approval is what stands between me and safety.
I firmly believe that the reason why I waited so long to come out with my transness is because I was afraid of losing male approval. It is so embedded into our society. I really pushed myself to present in a way that wasn't authentic to me for men.
I'm trying to unlearn this like very actively and trying to fight for nobody's approval but myself. Like, because it's not even that I should have men's approval or I should need men's approval or women's approval. I should need my own approval.
Yeah, and I think, this prompt I think might be surprising for some folks to see us sitting here.
Yeah.
Because we're like so feminist,
Sure.
but like,
But
you
it's a
know.
reminder that this work doesn't happen in a vacuum. And that because I am implicated in what is happening, right?
You seek men's approval because it benefits you. If there was no benefit from seeking men's approval, you wouldn't seek it. But because you desire something from them, you seek their approval in order for you to gain what you want. All right. Well, you guys, I'm going to wrap this up. All right. I got to get going here. So, definitely check out the rest of it. There's about another 14 minutes left on this whole trans women feminist issue. Check it out. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment, hit the like button. Help your buddy out here. I'm trying to expand this channel a little bit more. Share, comment, like, talk shit, whatever you want to do. I really don't care. Until next time, peace.